1757 till 1857 is characterized by expansion and consolidation of British rule, while Lord Cornwallis transformed the British rule from a commercial into a political power. Warren Hastings, he established British rule in Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. Subsequently, Lord Wellesley expanded the territorial limit of this British power via subsidiary alliance, and it was Lord Hastings who made the British paramount power in India. The time period from 1823 up till the revolt of 1857 has two important characteristic features. We all know that by 1819, when the Marathas they had been subjugated, the Britishers directly or indirectly controlled the entire region south of river Satluj up till that of the entire region of the present day Bangladesh, or I would say even eastern Bengal, up till the margin of river Brahmaputra. From 1823 onwards, we will see the British, they would start having friction with the territorial power outside the mainland subcontinent. And this became the characteristic feature during the time period of Lord Amherst. So from 1823 till 1828, we had Lord Amherst as the Governor General, during whose time period we had the first Anglo-Burmese War. Let us understand what is the genesis and basis to this Anglo-Burmese War. We have seen that the British rule came to have an eastern frontier. While the Britishers, they were subjugating and conquering the entire region west of Bengal, in the east there was the Burmese Empire. So this would be the region of Arakan, and this would be Tenasserim. This would be the region of Assam. This would be the region of Manipur. It was in 1820s that the Burmese army, which was chasing certain rebels, it brought Manipur under its control, Jaintia, Kachar and even Assam under its control. And this Burmese army came to threaten the English possessions. And this was the background to the first Anglo-Burmese War. The British officials in Calcutta took measures and declared war on Burma. So from 1824 till 1826, we saw the British declaring war on Burma. And in this war, the Burmese, they lost. And this led to the British acquiring Assam, Manipur, Kachar, Arakan and the Tenasserim region. So except for the lower Burma, that is the Pegu, and upper Burma, the British managed to include a large territory, which is the present day Assam, Manipur, the region of Kachar, Jaintia, Arakan, and Tenasserim. So during the time period of Lord Amherst, we saw during the Anglo-Burmese War from 1824 till 1826, there was a further extension of English territory, and Assam, Manipur, Kachar, Jaintia, Arakan, and Tenasserim. These regions were brought under control. Except for Lower Burma and Upper Burma, we saw that the eastern frontier of East India Company expanded. And this became the characteristic feature during the time period of Lord Amherst. In 1828, Lord Amherst was replaced by Lord William Bentinck, a very, very important Governor General. See, when we talk about Lord William Bentinck, he represented a new ideology, a new spirit as compared to his predecessors. When Lord William Bentinck became the Governor General in 1828, he came with the reformist zeal. So in 1829, there was abolition of sati. Lord William Bentinck made a commission of sati a criminal offense. In 1829, it was made a criminal offense in Bengal, and in 1813, it was extended all over India. William Bentinck, as a liberal Governor General, he abolished infanticide, he took measures to suppress thuggy. In fact, William Bentinck, during his time period, we saw Charter Act of 1833 was passed. We have seen that prior to Charter Act of 1833, we had the three presidencies. For example, we had the Calcutta Presidency, we had the Madras Presidency, and we had the Bombay Presidency. All these three presidencies, they had their own legislative councils, governors, executives, and they functioned independently. For example, during the first Anglo-Maratha War, the Treaty of Surat was signed by the Bombay Presidency. And although the Calcutta Presidency aimed at nullifying the treaty, but still Bombay Presidency went ahead with the Treaty of Surat. So prior to Charter Act of 1833, to a considerable measure, these presidencies, they acted independently. The regions, provincial assemblies, they acted independently. But the Charter Act of 1833, it made William Bentinck, or the Governor of Calcutta, or the Governor of Bengal, the Governor General of India, that is entire presidency, regional councils, all of them were to be under Governor General of India. So who was the first Governor General of India? It was Lord William Bentinck. So now when Lord William Bentinck was made the Governor General of India, he occupied a similar place as that of the Mughal Emperor, except that still the Mughal Emperor's legitimacy was there intact. So he was given his own council. William Bentinck He introduced educational reforms. So we saw Lord Macaulay giving his famous minute on education, laying down the education policy of trickle-down effect. English was made the official language of India. It replaced erstwhile Persian. And during the time period of Lord William Bentinck, all forms of disabilities upon Indians applying for various government positions, authorities, they were done away with. So you have to remember Lord Cornwallis, who was the Anglicist, who introduced limitations upon Indians occupying higher offices. This was done away with during the time period of Lord William Bentinck. During the time period of Lord William Bentinck, there were utilitarian reforms introduced. Social and cultural policies of the British found expression during the time period of Lord William Bentinck, especially under the Charter Act of 1833. Lord William Bentinck continued the policy of non-interference, but he also introduced the policy of annexation. During the time period of Lord William Bentinck, we see that there were various developments taking place in Europe. In Europe, the concert of Europe had been broken. In fact, in 1829, there was a rebellion in Greece, and there was an independence of Greece under Ypsilanti. And in 1830s, the Russian danger started emanating in Europe. There was also further forms of challenges that were emanating. The Russians, they had attacked the Persians, and Russians and Persians, they signed a treaty known as the Treaty of Turco-Manchai. Under the Treaty of Turco-Manchai that was signed between the Russians and the Persians, they both agreed to resolve their differences and accordingly came to put pressure upon the Afghans. And therefore in 1830s, we had William Bentinck worried about the northwestern frontier. And such was the worry of William Bentinck that he will sign a treaty of perpetual friendship with Punjab. Let us understand the northwestern frontier. In Afghanistan, we have seen how Ahmad Shah Abdali in the 18th century had constantly invaded Punjab. By 1790s, Sikh missiles, they had emerged. They had formed the Dal Khalsa to overthrow the Afghans. So the Sikh Confederacy in this entire region of Punjab, if I'm talking about this region of Punjab, here it is. Even the hilly areas, these were under the control of Punjab. And these were under the control of Afghans, and this is the Sindh region. We know it very well. These were the Rajputs. Just giving you a brief background about the northwestern region. We see that the entire region of Punjab was controlled by 12 misl of the Sikh, and amongst these misl in 1790s we had Maharaja Ranjit Singh belonging to the Sukar Chakya misl, who was able to subjugate all other missiles and establish a Sikh empire. So all the Sikh Sardars, they were subjugated under the Sukar Chakya missile of Maharaja Ranjit Singh by 1790s. In Afghanistan, what had happened? In Afghanistan, Dost Muhammad overthrew successor of Ahmad Shah Abdali, Shah Shuja. So Shah Shuja had taken refuge in Ludhiana, and Afghanistan was under Dost Muhammad. Dost Muhammad was an Amir. He was not a Shah. So as an Amir, we had Dost Muhammad. In Afghanistan, we had the Sikh empire, and we were having the Talpuriyas ruling the Sindh area. Now here, the English, they were fearing a Russian and Persian alliance so as to make inroads to India via Afghanistan. Therefore, the English were in the search for a scientific frontier. We know it very well that in 1809, a treaty of Amritsar was signed with the Sikh, Maharaja Ranjit Singh. And as per the treaty of Amritsar, Satluj became the boundary. So up till Satluj region, the British, they had their own authority. So the British, here is the Meerut region. They had a cantonment, they had a military base in Meerut region, and they were able to protect the entire possessions south of river Satluj. What happened was, when Maharaja Ranjit Singh, he became the Maharaja, he started crossing the Satluj river, and many of the times he attacked the Sardars in Malerkotla, he attacked the Sardars in Nabha, Karnal, and all these regions, Kaithal, Jind, and all the Sikh Sardars, Sikh chieftains in the region south of Satluj, they came to the British for help. And therefore the Britishers, they signed a treaty with Maharaja Ranjit Singh that henceforth Maharaja Ranjit Singh shall restrict his activity north of river Satluj, and south of river Satluj was handed over to the British. So in the 1820s, we will see that the English, they consolidated their rule, and when William Bentinck became the Governor General, he signed a treaty of perpetual friendship with Punjab. So we understand what was the significance of this perpetual friendship. We already know that the English, they had signed a treaty with the Nepalis, which was known as the Treaty of Sagoli, and therefore the Treaty of Perpetual Friendship with the Sikh became a very important means for the British to make sure that the northwestern region, it could be contained or safeguarded if in case there was an alliance between the Russians, Persians, and the Afghans. It was William Bentinck who annexed Mysore, Coorg, and it was William Bentinck who was the first Governor General during the time period when there were direct annexation of princely states taking place. So it's very important to understand the times of William Bentinck and how he played a very important role. So we have the frontier policy, social and cultural policy during the time period of William Bentinck. And in 1835, he was succeeded by a like-minded Governor General, a very important one, who is known as Charles Metcalfe. Charles Metcalfe, as a Governor General from 1835 till 1836, he is known as the liberator of press. Right. In 1798, when Lord Wellesley became the Governor General, at that point of time, he was fearful of the French invasion. He was fearful that the French might invade India, and therefore in 1799, he had imposed restrictions upon press in India. And these restrictions upon press were done away with during the time period of Charles Metcalfe. In fact, when Lord William Bentinck became the Governor General, one of the prime demands of Raja Ram Mohan Roy was that to liberate the Indian press. We already know that he was the editor of Sambad Kaumudi and other newspapers that we will discuss as a separate portion. However, as a liberator of press, it stimulated Indian opinion. So Charles Metcalfe is very important. He similarly displays the same utilitarian spirit that characterized Lord William Bentinck and also Charles Metcalfe. 1836, Charles Metcalfe was replaced by a very important Governor General who is Lord Auckland. A very, very important Governor General. So we go back to the northwestern region. 1836, when Lord Auckland became the Governor General, we see Dost Muhammad, who had usurped the throne in Afghanistan, he started showing some form of allegiance towards the Russians, and this alarmed the British. The British realized that if Dost Muhammad was not contained, it could be possible that the Russians might threaten the English possessions, that is the English possession in India. And therefore, Lord Auckland signed a tripartite treaty. So when we talk about Lord Auckland, he signed a tripartite treaty, and this treaty was to be the basis towards Anglo-Afghan invasion. I have told you that Shah Shuja, he had taken refuge in Ludhiana. And while he took refuge in Ludhiana, we already know that since it was below Satluj, so here it was under the English control. The Sikh, they were already at odds with Afghanistan, with the Afghans because of Peshawar as well as the peripheral region. So there was a tripartite treaty that was signed between the English, Shah Shuja, and the Sikh. Maharaja Ranjit Singh was hoping that defeating the Afghans, he could further extend his boundary beyond Peshawar. Shah Shuja aimed at displacing Dost Muhammad and becoming the Shah of Afghanistan. And the English hoped at installing Shah Shuja so as a friendly and a scientific frontier could be realized. And this tripartite treaty formed the basis towards the Anglo-Afghan War. The Anglo-Afghan War from 1839 till 42. So during the time period of Lord Auckland, we see the first Anglo-Afghan War. So a huge army of the British, the Sikh, and that of Shah Shuja, it was prepared and it attacked Afghanistan. Afghanistan in 1839, Kabul was captured. Shah Shuja was made the ruler of Afghanistan. The British resident was installed. But in 1842, there was a rebellion. Such a rebellion that Shah Shuja was killed. The British resident was killed. Entire British army was slaughtered, with just few men managing to come alive back to India. So the first Anglo-Afghan War was a disaster. It was the first major defeat of the British. It greatly damaged the reputation of the British. And in 1842, Lord Auckland was called back and he was replaced by Ellenborough. When Lord Ellenborough came back to India, he had realized that this entire expedition, that is the Anglo-Afghan war, had been a disaster. Dost Muhammad was reinstated in Afghanistan, making sure that the entire region remains. Dost Muhammad claimed that he shall not entertain the Russians. Meanwhile, in 1839, when Maharaja Ranjit Singh died, there were succession crises. We see Khadak Singh, now Nihal Singh, both of them dying, and the Sindhanwalia and Dogra faction contesting one another to become kingmakers. Therefore, in 1842, when Lord Ellenborough became the governor, one of the prime objectives for Ellenborough was to again safeguard the scientific frontier, to realize a frontier, and also to control or to safeguard, to restore the British prestige. And this restoring of British prestige was done during the time period of Ellenborough by annexing Sindh. Now, Sindh, they had signed a treaty of perpetual friendship with the English, and they were true in the spirit of respecting that treaty. But still, Lord Ellenborough in 1843 replaced Charles Napier as the British resident, and Napier, he played a primary role in instigating a war with Sindh. And in 1843, via Battle of Miani, in the Battle of Miani, Sindh was capitulated. So we see that the Battle of Miani a very important battle, formed the basis towards annexation of Sindh. So Sindh was capitulated. The task had been performed by Lord Ellenborough. And so in 1844, Ellenborough was replaced by Lord Hardinge. We see that now for the British, after the first Anglo-Afghan war, while they reinstalled Dost Muhammad, what remained for the British was the Sikh Empire. There were turbulences in the Sikh territory after death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. In fact, Rani Jindal Kaur, who was the regent of the minor son Dalip Singh, who came to the throne in 1843, she was fearful of the Khalsa army. The Khalsa army was not having any general. It was an extremely potent army which was capable of defeating the Afghans also. It was established on European lines. While the entire court of the Sikh Empire was divided between the Dogras and Sindhanwalias. There were two factions. So Rani Jindal Kaur in 1845 She played a primary role in instigating war with that of the English. The English were well aware of what is happening in the Sikh territory. In fact, the English, they had started making preparations as well along the Jalandhar region. The English, they had started training their troops. They increased the supply of manpower, arms and ammunitions. And the Sikh army was watching these developments. Rani Jindal Kaur at this point of time, she instigated the Khalsa army to attack the British. Because she believed that if Khalsa army would defeat the British, it would lead to passing of sovereignty of India from British to that of the Sikh Empire. And if it lost, then she could probably protect her own imperial interests. So in 1846, the first Anglo-Sikh war started. And in this Anglo-Sikh war, which started in 1846, the Sikh army could never fight with its full capacity because already there were traitors within. Lal Singh, he constantly conspired with the British. The Dogras conspired with the British. And in 1846, there was a decisive battle, and that battle was the Battle of Sabron. After the Battle of Sabron, there was Treaty of Lahore that was signed. So we have the Treaty of Lahore signed in 1846. This Treaty of Lahore formed the basis of the British engagement with that of the Sikh. As per the Treaty of Lahore, a British resident was installed in Lahore Darbar. The Lahore Darbar had to pay 1.5 crore war indemnity to the English. So all the hilly states of Himachal, even Kashmir was given to the British, which the British later sold off to the Dogras. Further, the Sikh Empire was supposed to have the British resident. Its forts were, the army's power was limited, the army was demilitarized in certain areas. So Treaty of Lahore was a major setback for the Sikh Empire. And the Sikh Khalsa army, it was frustrated and it wanted to settle the score of the defeat that it has faced in the Battle of Sabron. And the opportunity came when in 1848, Lord Hardinge was replaced by famous Lord Dalhousie. From 1848 till 1856, Lord Dalhousie, who was when he became the Governor General, he faced the greatest threat in the form of the Sikh rebellion. The governor of Multan, Mulraj, he rebelled against the British. And this formed the basis towards the Second Anglo-Sikh War. And in this Second Anglo-Sikh War in 1849, the Khalsa army was defeated, and following this Anglo-Sikh War, we saw the British, they extended their territory, they annexed the entire Punjab region in 1849. So we see that the British, they were able to extend their frontier. So if via Treaty of Surji Arjan Gaon, they extended their frontier to river Yamuna. Treaty of Amritsar, they extended their frontier up till Satluj. We see after the Second Anglo-Sikh War, the British, they extended their frontier as far as river Indus, and even the areas that were beyond river Indus. So when Lord Dalhousie became the Governor General, the first most important achievement was annexation of Punjab. Lord Dalhousie was a very aristocratic Governor General. He is known for laying down the telegraph network, introducing railways, improvising transport and communication. During his time period, the education policy further progressed to Wood's dispatch, which laid down the basis towards university system. Lord Dalhousie formed the basis towards establishment of civil engineering institutions. Lord Dalhousie witnessed, or during this time period, Lord Dalhousie, he played an instrumental role in bringing about establishment of geological survey and also carrying out a lot of civil work with respect to irrigation as well. Lord Dalhousie was a Governor General who pursued the policy of annexation vigorously, and he made use of three instruments to annex territories. First was war, second was Doctrine of Lapse, and third was maladministration. Therefore, Lord Dalhousie annexed Satara, he annexed Sambalpur, Jaipur, Nagpur, Jhansi on the pretext of Doctrine of Lapse. Annexed Berar, Awadh on the pretext of maladministration. And we know Punjab was annexed on the basis of a war, and there was the second Anglo-Burmese war as well. In 1852. So following the second Anglo-Burmese war, Lower Burma was annexed. So in this way, by the time period of Lord Dalhousie, we see that the British, they had been able to establish not only a frontier on the northwest, they were also able to consolidate their rule. So if these are the mountain ranges, the Suleiman and the Kirthar ranges, right? And let's make use of the black pen. This is the Suleiman Kirthar ranges. These are the Nepalese territory. This is the Assamese region, Kachar region, and Manipur region, the Arakan, Tena Serim, and the Pegu region. This is the Upper Burma. So this is still beyond our reach. So the Britishers, they had brought this entire region directly or indirectly under their control by 1856. And in 1856, Lord Dalhousie was replaced by Lord Canning, during whose time period we will have the first mutiny. The first mutiny was in 1806 in Vellore. However, a first pan-India mutiny, a great rebellion, which is the mutiny of 1857.